Let's take, for example, the biking on ice video.
Looking back at it now, the fact that everything happened that happened and those guys didn't end up drowning in the lake is a miracle. Like, God bless, bro. Like, it's actually crazy. Like, looking back at it, it was so, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a horrible idea. I started working on that video, and Eric had already reached out to he saw the ice bike video, has like 110 million views, this other one. And so we're like, we're going to make a better version of that, which our video doesn't have 110 million views. It's definitely more entertaining. But Eric sends me the contact of the bike guy. Turns out that Eric got a quote for the bike, and the bike guy was like all in, like, let's do it. I ended up reaching out to the bike guy. Turns out that he like partially started on the bike, but like hadn't finished them. And so I'm communicating with this
Okay.
guy, like, and then the machine that he was using broke. And so then he went on vacation. And so there were just like parts of our bike that we've already asked him to get made are just sitting there. The machine that he needs is broken, and he's on vacation, so he's like he can't
And when are you
like
guys shooting this video?
it hadn't been planned yet. We were just like, hey, make the bike, and when the
Okay.
bike is done, we'll go and do the video. And so, and then also at the same time, the guy is also in college, and he's recently married, and he just had a kid. So there's like all of this stuff happening, and it's crazy. And so it's my first job. I'm like on the phone with this guy. I'm like, hey, so I was told that you got the bikes for us. You're gonna two of them for like $1,200, and it's gonna be great. Because at this time, like budgets are like at most 1250. If you spend more than 1250, like you have to go to Eric, and it has to be a perfect video. We're spending like $1,200 on these things, and he's like, yep, like totally. And then he gets back to me. He's like, yeah, change of plans. It's actually going to cost you $5,000 to do this. And
Uh-oh.
it's my first job. I'm like, oh, like, I don't know what Eric communicated or what was communicated, but it's almost 3 or 4 times the price. Like, it's supposed to be 1250, and now it's $5,000. Like, we can't spend that money. We can't do the video. And so I told the guy, I'm like, it was told to me that the bikes were going to be done for $1,200 and shipped, because I don't exactly know where he was, but we need to get them shipped to Minnesota. And so I basically end up communicating to him. Look, again, I say looking back at it because I'm in a very different position now, where we're not under that same level of like need to get stuff done. And so I'd recommend, if you could do it, it's not that we did it the wrong way, but if you can do it a more right way and like more kind of by the books, if possible, I would recommend doing it just to like save yourself in the future. It'll be way better for you. But I ended up like negotiating with this guy by saying like, hey, this is literally my first video and first job that I'm working on. You communicated to us that it was going to be done for this much. You didn't communicate that the machine was broken, and then you decided to go on vacation. So now you've set the project back by like 2 or 3 weeks, right? I basically forced him to do a project that was going to be done in 2 weeks into finishing the bikes and like getting everything done in like 3 or 4 days. And I only ended up paying him like $1,300 or $1,500. So we ended up and that was like he ended up losing money on the project, which sucked. And this is like, again, this is why I don't recommend it. This is just like the transparency of like where it is. And we worked with him we like collaborated with him as well. And it was great
Yeah.
too, because he was able to, like, we put out his Instagram and everything, and we're like, hey, like go support this guy. We ended up like paying only 1,500 for the bikes. I think we ended up paying like a little bit more to get them shipped, but what ended up happening was we couldn't overnight ship them in time to the place. So we had to have a guy get on either drive. I think we ended up getting one of his friends to get in a rental car, drive from wherever they were to Minnesota, drop them off, and then we got him a flight back or something like that, or we drove back. So we paid for the guy's time and then for the transportation or whatever. But here's the crazy thing. This story, like, bro, this story goes deep, and I'll try and make it simple as well. So I deal with all that. This is like literally my first time working with the guys, and I'm like, I have to make this video. Eric comes up to me, he's like, I just want you to know, if you can make this video possible, it's game over. Like, this is a banger, you know. And so I'm looking at it. He's like, but right now the video is impossible. Like, it's lit. Like, the video, if we want to shoot it, is impossible. We cannot do it. And so I took that to heart. I'm like, okay, like, I'm gonna make this thing happen. The more I went into it, I'm like, oh my god, this video is impossible. So the bike thing is number one. So we just have to figure out, the video does not happen unless we have the bike. Okay, great. We got to get the bikes. Got the
Yeah.
bike sorted out. In that time, I'm like, where is this thing? Like, where is this? Like, I have no idea. And it needs to be frozen, so we need to make sure like weather's all good. So I finally figure out, I do research and I figure out where the trail is. I look at the
Uh-huh.
weather temperature for the area, and it was 60 and 70 degrees. So I'm like,
Uh-oh.
okay, well, that means that the whole thing's gonna unfreeze in like 4 days. Like, if we don't get there now, we can't shoot the video because the link's gonna be because this isn't like February. This is like middle March, actually. This is the middle of March. So like, there's no way this thing is still frozen. And so we get the bikes there, which again, another serendipitous thing was like, what if we got this plane to like pick us up and take us to the island if something like what if we like got there and like there's a plane waiting for us and we could like fly it around, right? I ended up reaching out to a plane company or no, here's what this was even crazier. So much like this is what I'm saying. We're like really lucky, bro. Like there's so many things that we get lucky with. I ended up reaching out to the head of tourism of the lake. And they got back to me and he was like, yeah, bro, like let's do this thing. Like let me hook up everything for you. So he hooks up like hotel, stay, like transportation, all of this stuff. It's crazy. And I'm like telling him about this video. This video has 100 million views. We're expecting to get like 10 million views on this video. We're going to split it up into 2-part series. It's going to be great. And so he ends up connecting us with the plane company. But the plane company is awesome. The plane company ends up receiving the bikes. So I coordinate the bikes being dropped off with the plane people. The plane people pick us up the morning that we're supposed to go do this thing in their car. So they end up picking us up in their own car with the bikes. They take our whole crew. We drive to the airport to go and do this whole plane thing. And so like it ended up working out where like our car was also the people that could receive the bikes, who could also be the people that that flew us in this plane to go do this crazy thing. So there was just all of this stuff that was really well together. And then they do one day where they like go and they kind of go out on the bikes, which they saw, right? The very next day, the entire lake is completely melted. Everything, like the whole lake. And so we were originally supposed to take the plane and go land on an ice landing strip. So at the lake at the place, there's like the landing strip is made out of ice. And so there's just like crazy frozen lakes. They would land the planes on the ice. What we were supposed to do was land the plane on the ice and stay in that town. What ended up happening was we couldn't even actually get to the town. And so everything that you see in the video isn't actually the town. It's actually mainland Minnesota. So all of that stuff is like us, like we fly, but we actually land back on mainland Minnesota. We were supposed to land on an ice thing and go spend time at the angle, but we didn't. We just flew the plane around for like an hour, saw like all of the stuff. So we had to turn the story around because the ice melted. And so the plane just lands back on mainland Minnesota. And what we call the angle is literally just like one of the northernmost parts in Minnesota. So it's like not actually the angle.
That's hilarious.
If you like this short clip, make sure to check out the full interview right here and subscribe to the channel for more behind the scenes interviews with the people working for your favorite entrepreneurs and creators.